We had our eyes on Enshrouded and Nightingale as the first big online hits of 2024, but in came Palworld, an absolute wrecking ball, a complete industry challenger, a game built by a relatively unknown studio, plagued by criticism for its obvious resemblance to Pokemon. The game arrived at a perfect time. The first big release of the year post the holiday slump always seems to outperform expectations, and it delivered something many people didn't even know they wanted, a survival crafting game with Pokemon. Now the game is out and has sold millions of copies. It's clear this is what people wanted. Palworld draws together several different types of players, from the casuals who just want to catch the pals and build them cute little houses, to the hardcore survival players and content creators who want to build the perfect min-maxed factory to extract every bead of sweat from their suffering pals. It certainly helps that Pokemon's offerings for the past few years, barring Legends Arceus, have been met with a lukewarm reception at best, and left longtime fans craving more. Enshrouded appeals to an audience who have played Valheim and waited longingly for a new update. Has Palworld's launch impacted its performance? Yes and no. We've definitely seen a slower start to the game than we expected, considering all the things it does right. A massive voxel-based world with some of the best building mechanics we've ever seen in a survival game. But it's something that might change in the long run. Enshrouded didn't have a Valheim-like explosion of popularity, but the core game is already fantastic, and it has a lot of time to cook in early access, as long as Keen Games are up to the challenge of maintaining and pleasing its player base. Now Nightingale is here, and it's another game whose fate will be decided by its early access period. With a list of already acknowledged fixes requested by the community, and with the developers very passionate about ongoing support via a live service-like rollout of updates, that leaves us with 3 massive survival games that have been released in just the first few months of 2024. This isn't even all the survival games planned for the year, as we've still got a bunch to look forward to, including Winter Survival, Once Human, and Rooted, and that's cherry picking. Games like Winter Survival and Rooted are more than your classic survival games. Cut down trees, hunt animals to survive, etc. Whereas Once Human is a bizarre MMO-like zombie survival and crafting game that had an explosively popular open beta at the end of last year. Project Zomboid's long-awaited Build 42 also arrives sometime this year, a game that's proven that early access, even if it's over a decade long, isn't a bad thing. Build 42 promises a complete crafting rework and introduction of NPC animals, as well as the expansion of its leveling, allowing both basements and skyscrapers. The Indie Stone, the studio behind Project Zomboid, doesn't crunch, that's for sure. The last update for the game released 2 years ago, but does that matter? Nah, not to us at least. The game still holds around 20,000 consistent players every day and has one of the most robust modding communities of any title ever. Build 42 has the chance to be massive. Valheim is also getting a long-awaited update, the Ashlands. It promises to finally bring a new biome with new challenges and monsters and plenty of other reworks and overhauls. This is another one that's taken a long old time to prepare by the devs over at Iron Gate. The last update for the game, Hilder's Request, was not a major content update, but it did bring some well-received quality-of-life changes to the game. Regardless of if you're a fan of the survival crafting genre, there's probably a game in this list, and that's not including the other half a dozen survival games we're not talking about here, that you can get involved in. We're in the midst of a survival crafting renaissance, made possible in part by Unreal Engine 5's new kit of design tools, but also because of a growing acceptance of early access as a fundamental part of game design. Although all these games are quote-unquote out this year, they're not really out at all. Early access does have its merits though, especially if handled correctly by the developers. Creating a game in line with community feedback is what made games like Project Zomboid truly timeless, and it'll be interesting to follow the progress of this year's biggest survival crafting titles in the years to come.